We're now recording. We're good.
Okay, this open meeting of the Triton Regional School District, okay, I can't even read.
Want to start
This
over?
open meeting of the Triton Regional District Community, that's why. Yeah, probably start over. I've got to erase something.
Paul is just joining.
All right,
Okay, are we ready?
ready.
This open meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law by Governor Healy on March 28th, 2025, which extends the authorization for state and local public bodies to conduct public meetings in a hybrid or remote format through June 30th, 2027. These provisions suspend the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. I hereby call to order this meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee on July 23rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. I am Linda Lukowski, Chair of the School Committee, and I would like to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Erin?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Paul Goldner?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Matt Landers?
I'm here and I can hear.
Paul Lees? Ed?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Kelly Smullen?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Marissa?
I am here and I can hear you.
Brian?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Can Paul Lees hear us?
It says his audio and video are both connected. I'm guessing
Okay.
he can't
Can
hear.
you unmute him, Brian, in case he can't find the mute? No.
He's not muted. Yeah.
Okay, for this meeting, the Triton Regional School Committee is convening remotely via Zoom using the information posted on the district's website identifying how the public may join. If you are personally attending by video conference using your device's camera, please be aware that others may be able to see you. Committee members and administrators, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. All supporting material that have been provided to members of this body are available on the district's website with the agenda posting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. I'm going to read our vision statement. We are a community of learners known for unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of all students. Through the adoption of best practices and our active partnership with families and the wider community who are united in supporting the development of engaged, successful, responsible, resilient learners. Students will be well prepared to be ethical, empathetic, and contributing citizens. So, I just want to, Paul, can you hear us?
You say there's a phone connecting, but it's not Paul's cell phone. I know that.
Okay.
It's my cell phone. It's Caitlin.
There's Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, I just want to thank Brian, Matt, Narissa, and the whole building committee, because I know it's going to be a lot of work and you've already put in a lot of work. So I appreciate the time, patience, and effort that you guys are putting in. The first item is updates for the MSBA submissions and timelines. The focus of our discussion tonight are going to be the early work of the Administration Visioning Working Group and School Building Committee since the district received an invitation for a project on the Byfield campus last December. The superintendent is going to kick off with a review of the work that's been done so far.
All right. So We look forward to this for a really long time, right? I think we went around and around in there. It felt like this is years and years in the making. Looking back through the history on the Pine Grove process, and it was roughly 2013, 2014 when we were starting to do this, 2015. And so you know that project finished in 2019, which was a little quicker than some other projects might be. So we are continuing to kind of just blast right through these early deliverables as a reminder. The MSBA assumed timeline is we would be welcomed into Module 2, which is our designing team selection, a year out from for the meeting when we were welcomed in. We were welcomed in on December, forget the teens, 13th, 14th. I think it was Friday the 13th. It was on December 13th. At that same meeting where we were being welcomed into Module 1, Manchester Essex was there for Essex Elementary being welcomed into Module 2. So their assumption is it takes roughly a year to check all the boxes on this list. We had said from an early time that we, and we'll talk about the actual amount for you to vote, that we had been setting aside capital stabilization money and funds. Funny, there's a new word. Capital funds to be able to fund the feasibility study without going to taxpayers. We talked, remember, early on a lot about that because we were afraid that by doing that money and setting aside, that there would be any kind of a understanding that there was a bait and switch, that we were putting money aside to fund to get to that big number and then surprise the towns. And so again, this has been a discussion with our member towns since 2019 at the table, all along the way. So we had put in our SOI for the third try last year that we want to complete this eligibility period, which is Module 1, as quickly as we possibly can. And so I'm pleased, and it's noted on the agenda. There's a document that I'll just talk through quickly, but the MSBA has confirmed that they anticipate us on the October 29th board agenda. We will have, with these votes tonight, we will have pretty much submitted everything we need to, and then it's waiting for them to draft up what will be the final thing, which is the feasibility study agreement, for us to be ready for the next phase. So they have us penciled in on the October 29th agenda, which is great. So just to talk through the timelines, the PDF that's there with some green checks. Initial compliance certification was literally I'm signing off saying we understand the process. No promises, no guarantees. It's a big, long process. We'll work in hand and off we go happily down the road. That was a quick sign off. Establishing the school building committee. Obviously, we did that. That was due on April 4th. We actually met for the first time on April 1st. I do want to say, right, our building committee is already meeting, which is not the norm, right? It is fairly routine that the building committee is established ahead of Module 2 to jump in when the design team, obviously the building committee is involved in selecting the design team, but it's largely a just kind of formative group until we get to Module 2. We have met twice already. We're meeting again on August 14th, just for a communication strategy standpoint. To make sure that information is flowing, we have a select board member from each of our 3 towns on the building committee. So making sure that information is flowing regularly and routinely, so that there is never any concern about surprises. So building committee is established. I've had 2 meetings. We'll have a third in August, with the intention to continue meeting monthly, even at this point when there's not a lot of new information. Educational profile questionnaire is basically, it's literally a questionnaire that asks us to paint the picture of what the building exists today. A lot of that they had in the statement of interest, and then what we are envisioning for the future. We largely said we're not anticipating many, changes, no relocation. We're required to study everything, but they ask us what our intentions are. So we basically said our intentions are, our regional agreement says that the campus is here in Byfield. We don't have any other locations. So it's this campus. the most cost-effective solution, whether that be a full rebuild, an ad reno, or straight reno. That is our intention. You'll remember that we had suggested to the MSBA that we were interested in studying moving sixth grade over to this campus so that it was not a true middle school, but a truer middle school, 6 through 8, and then a 9 through 12 high school, as well as studying as it exists today. So we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that right now. So the next thing that we had to deliver is online enrollment projection that will lead to one of the votes you're going to take tonight, which is accepting their proposed design enrollment. That was a series of data points, some of which we had student enrollment data, some of which we worked with our member towns, town clerk, town building departments, to get building permit data, to get birth data, historical, projected. And so it was a kind of a combined effort. We did submit all that information ahead of May 5th. We actually the enrollment meeting was held. That was held in late July. That was actually June. That was late June that was held. And so there was a core group, Matt and Narissa from the building committee did join that call. And the document you have, we'll go over that in a little bit, but I will say personally here, I'm pretty thrilled with the number based on what the baseline projection, and we know we are in a declining enrollment situation with the rest of the North Shore. I've heard stories of numbers getting very low, and their initial baseline was 735, which is about 110 less than we have on campus now. But we'll talk through that process a little bit. Held that meeting, got us to the point where we are today with being able to accept that. The maintenance and capital planning information, this was a document provided to the school building committee. It was established or estimated July 14th. That will actually probably be by this Friday. There was one more box we had to check and had to do a little bit of work that John Skanicki and Rich Poor are both working on now as far as kind of projection. They asked for a lot of projections in our processes. This document, the maintenance and capital planning information, is important because it can gain us reimbursement points on the core project. We know that the reimbursement for the feasibility portion will be 47.5%. That number can be increased based on design elements, i.e. LEED certified energy efficiency certifications, or based on our past practices and documentation and procedures with regard to capital planning and maintenance of our buildings, preventative maintenance. So we certainly have spent a lot of time documenting things. There's a lot of things that John Skanicki has put into place over the last 2 years or currently putting into place as we speak that I think will bode well for us as far as documentation and management of the overall district-wide roughly 700,000 square feet of space. So that isn't due until next week, but that will be submitted by this Friday. So the 2 remaining items are the 2 items that are on the agenda for tonight, which is the vote to authorize the funding for the feasibility and schematic design, and then executing the feasibility study agreement. I lied, that's not on there. It's actually the enrollment certification documentation that will lead to the feasibility study agreement, which will likely need another vote, but I think we'll be able to take that up on or after the August 27th meeting. So that's where we're at as of this point in time. Any questions?
Okay, I don't see anybody. The next item is the visioning work update. As the committee will remember, we approved some early funding for the visioning work on this project. Doing this early, prior to the hire of designers and project managers, makes sure that this process is guided by those who will be in this building long-term and allows plenty of time for due diligence. Brian is going to fill us in on the group that was formed to guide this work and what they have done so far.
All right, so Mike Perillo, his business partner, Paul White, have been working with us. The key point here as Linda just mentioned, this is very early to do this work. That's a very good thing. When we were doing site tours, it was repeated over and over again from the various folks giving the tours, which ranged from the building project, the building committee co-chair, to teachers, to administrators, to students. The fear that I believe Paul Mayette mentioned in an earlier meeting a year plus ago is when educators aren't involved in designing a building, you could get a really beautiful building that doesn't make sense for an educational institution. So everyone we spoke with, ask what module, that's like the MSBA lingo, what module are you in? So, people are like, you in module 2, 3, 4, 5. And, when we say we're in module 1, we haven't even selected a designer yet. Everyone we spoke with said, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So, so wise to do that, even on up through Diane Sullivan, who is from the MSBA, who is involved from the early get-go with statements of interest on up through the designer selection. And then when we get handed over to the kind of the construction phase team, she is the director of that whole process. Even has said several times, how wise it is, not routine, that folks will set aside money and start this work early. But this allows us to focus on the educational portion. I will say that's also led to some confusion at the last school building committee meeting. Again, normally we wouldn't be having these public discussions, and a lot of time the visioning gets wrapped up. I heard an example where the visioning took place in 6 to 8 weeks. In a project in module 2 and 3. And so there's zero time to actually talk through what we want educationally before we start to talk about windows and doors and lights and spaces and meeting spaces and classroom spaces. So this early work is primarily educators talking about pedagogy and content about how we believe we're best meeting the needs of students. So this group met prior to the end of the school year. There were 2 meetings of this group with MLP Design Group. And then there were 2 site visit days, both in May and in June. From those, we circled back and on July 10th met with the design group. I'm sorry, the site visit group, if you will, again on July 10th to kind of synthesize what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. Again, it's easy to start talking about the building. I like that cafeteria's layout. I like that entryway. I like that classroom. But this is trying to keep this 30,000 feet and really focused on what is the educational need. And so the next steps, I'm drafting up a communication that will go out to the entire community. We do want to invite some community members into this a little broader, kind of what we've done to this point, testing out a little more broadly and going really deep into the educational components of the design. So it would be a majority educators, but involving some families, alum, other community members. Will invite the building committee to kind of be observers if they're interested, just to see what's going on. We've got 2 community full day sessions, one in August. I'm sorry, one in late September 30th and one on October 15th. And those would be full day offsite in still a smaller group, 40 to 45, and really still keying in on the educational aspect of it to set that kind of overall educational, and again, and kind of the educational vision. From there, once we have a design team, which is an OPM and a designer, an architect, we would have larger community sessions that are open publicly, right? This will be, I'm going to ask for interest, anyone who's interested, and then select a small group. But this group is really focused. And so we need like I said, a group of 40, 50 in it to be consistent for all the sessions. So this is a little bit more focused of a group. But then as we get into probably late spring or late winter, early spring, that would become more broad involve more wider community forums where we're starting to talk about, if this is the educational vision, what does the building need to look like then? Before we start to say, what is the right solution, to start think big, what do we want? So that's the kind of thinking at this point. Again, as far as timeline, if we are being welcomed in on October 29th, the module 2 is generally another 4 to 6 months, and that's the selection of the design team. It generally where assumption is, if we're accepted on October 29th, the months of November and December, a little bit broken up by the holidays, so it might bleed a little into January. That would be the selection of the owner's project manager, which we do hand in hand with the MSBA. And then once we have the OPM, they in essence become, as the name implies, the OPM is our voice and our representation moving forward, working very closely with the building committee to select a designer, the architect. And then once we have that team, we start module 3 without any other votes. We just go right into module 3. And that's where that work starts to do the study, if you will, the feasibility study. And so I think best case scenario, we've got the design team rolling by end of February, beginning of March. If it takes a little longer around the holidays, it could, take into March, April, which means those community forums, which would be first steps with the designer and OPM on board, those larger community forums would be, like I said, late winter, early spring. So any questions about that vision work, other than to say, good job for spending that money early? I think we can confidently say we will be able to provide documents and a package of information to a designer that won't allow them to just go off and start designing things they like rather than things that meet what we've decided our educational needs.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, I will move on to the design enrollment certification. As the superintendent mentioned, determining the enrollment numbers to be used for the design process is one of the earliest and most important steps. Matt, the chair of the SBC, attended the call with the MSBA about design enrollment. He will talk about that call that resulted in the attached letter and required vote. School building committee did not have the letter at their last meeting, but they did discuss the numbers that form the basis for the proposed enrollments. So I'll hand this over to you, Matt.
Thank you. So we met with the MSBA on June 13th and to discuss the design enrollment. The design enrollment will drive everything going forward: square footage, gathering spaces, cafeteria, number of classrooms. We're going to be required to study 2 design enrollments, 7 through 12, and as Brian said, 6 through 12 during the feasibility study phase. They took into consideration the following: live births, recent permits, and projected permits. So they have agreed to the following design enrollments. So for 7 through 12, they agreed to 895, which is a baseline of 775. Currently, I think we're at 845. They adjusted for school choice students returning. They added 45, and then they adjusted for new development, another 75. So that brings us up to 895 for 7 through 12. And then 6 through 12, they agreed to 1,070, which is a baseline of 925. Choice students addition of 50 and 95 for new development. And I think those are very good numbers. We were very happy with the result. Brian originally asked for 1,000 for 7 through 12. We knew we weren't going to get it. He also tried to get them to round up to 900, and they said they already rounded up. So I think we did very well. I'm very happy with that. And I think we have to vote now to authorize Brian and Linda to sign that certification.
Yeah, so this is just as a reminder. So as a regional school, Linda signs as the duly authorized representative of the school committee. I am both the chief executive officer and the superintendent, so I end up signing twice. And yes, they actually have me sign everything twice. So yes, this is again, one more check box to check to get to that feasibility agreement, which will be a long document that basically says, here's everything we're agreeing to for this first modules, basically 3, 4, and 5, which is all the study.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept and approve the design enrollment as proposed by the MSBA and authorize the signature of the enrollment certification form by the school committee chair and the superintendent.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Can I say just one more thing, just to make sure it's very clear? This doesn't change, right? So it is a it's happened, but a very, very, very rare occasion that we would ever get this number to change for the balance of the project. So it's rare to be able to adjust it in this process, but it's also, it doesn't change from this point forward. We are agreeing that this becomes the basis of the entire design, from number of classrooms to square footage of an auditorium to everything.
Any discussion? Okay, we're gonna have a roll call vote. Erin,
Yes.
Paul Goldner,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Paul Lees,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Narissa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So the next item is the MSBA feasibility study appropriation. The final item of the night is to approve the feasibility study funding request. Matt is going to talk about why the recommendation is for 1.7 million. So I'll hand this to you, Matt.
Thank you. So we based this off of the data that we had from the MSBA for projects from 2014 to current projects. And we came up with a base, median of 1.7, and that gets split between the design team and the OPM. And Jim Cobb, who's on our, he's our vice chair. He's also OPM. He felt like this was a very good number. Basically, we're going to put this out to bid, and OPMs and design teams will negotiate with us and work under that number. So I think that's a very good number. And as a reminder, we don't have to, this would typically go out to a local vote, a ballot initiative and a town meeting, which we don't have to do that because we wisely put the money into stabilization. So any questions?
Can I just add too, we have to approve the entire amount, but the MSBA is actually reimbursing based on our reimbursement percentage. So the 47 point whatever that Brian said earlier. As we go through this process, the bills get submitted to the MSBA, and within 30 days, they're cutting us a check back for their portion of it. Do you want a motion, Linda? Or questions? Or you're muted.
Boy, I was talking a lot. Nobody heard me. Yes, if there's no questions, I'm gonna have Narissa read the motion, please.
No questions? Not seeing any.
So just to clarify, people understand the motion that you have, like literally been vetted by 729 different attorneys. So this is like word for word.
I'll make a motion that the Triton Regional School District, the district, hereby appropriates the amount of $1,700,000 for the purpose of planning costs of a feasibility study to consider options for the reconstruction or replacement of the Triton Regional Middle and High School, two independent schools co-located at 112 Elm Street, Byfield, Massachusetts, including all costs incidental and related thereto. The study, said amount to be expended under the direction of the school building committee. To meet this appropriation, said amount is hereby appropriated from the district's stabilization fund. The district acknowledges that the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any cost the district incurs in excess of any grant approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the district. The amount appropriated from the stabilization fund pursuant to this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the feasibility study agreement that may be executed between the district and the MSBA.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Erin,
Yes.
Paul Goldner,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Paul Lees,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Narissa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I hope you're all having a nice summer. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote, Erin,
Yes.
Paul Goldner,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Paul Lees,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Narissa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice night.
Take care, everyone.